All right, listen up, man. Let's get straight into it. You read the title, right? Cannabis can be used as a tool to alter your states of consciousness. Yes, so let me say that again for the people in the back. Listen up, my guy. Cannabis, ganja, kush, reefer, weed, whatever the fuck you want to call it, my boy, can be used as a tool to alter your states of consciousness. And you might be wondering, okay, man, how the hell does that even make sense? You're telling me that this plant can help me transcend. You're telling me that this is a spiritual tool. I thought this was something bad. I thought this was the devil's lettuce. I thought people get addicted to it. Now you're telling me it's a tool to ascend. Well, relax. Relax. Relax, my guy. I'm going to need you to just take a deep breath. Come on, do it with me. Because it's time for your boy to break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. But first things first, before we talk about how cannabis can be used as a tool to alter your states of consciousness, we got to use some cannabis to alter our states of consciousness. We got to get out here in the field and in the flesh, experiment with it to tell y'all the real deal spill. Not just theorizing all this, but actually living it out in the flesh, my boy. So let me burn up some of this California kush for y'all before we get into everything. You want to get a nice burn, nice even burn everywhere. Kids, I do not recommend this. This is just for educational purposes. All right, let's get into this bitch. Now, you got to realize that your consciousness is malleable, is adaptable to any state that you consciously want to alter it into. This is something that all the awakened sages, all the yogis, all the great spiritual traditions understood along their journeys of uncovering this mystery that we call life. They knew that mankind's consciousness was not in a concrete manner into one form. And what do I mean by consciousness? This is how you view reality. Consciousness is the observer. Consciousness is the lens in which how you view life. And you have many planes of consciousness within your own system. There are ways for you to manipulate your consciousness to root yourself in specific planes. This is done through yoga. This is done through breath work. This is done through semen retention, celibacy. This is done through the spiritual path of self-mastery. Let me burn it again. See, I'm talking too much. But you got to realize that in this realm of conscious alterations, there are tools that you can use in the external world to get you to that state, such as psychoactive herbs, such as plant medicines, such as herbal remedies, including weed, including marijuana, including ganja, kush, again, whatever you want to call it. Most people view this as a recreational drug rather than a sacred herb. A sacred herb that contains an entity within it, that contains energy within it, that is a teacher, that is a guide. And trust me, I'm not somebody who started smoking weed because I knew the shamanic details of it. I was smoking weed like most of y'all smoked weed, with my friends in a fucking parking lot doing fuck all with my life, doing absolutely nothing. The reason why the shamans understood that you could communicate with the cosmos through the plants is because they did not consume cannabis or any psychoactive herb in a compulsive manner. You see, when you smoke, drink, have sex, in a compulsive manner, you become a slave to that substance. You become a slave to that being. Because in reality, you're a slave to your own senses. You have a compulsive state of consciousness. Oh man, I just got back from work. It was a hard day. I gotta smoke some weed. Oh man, my wife, my girlfriend, whatever is nagging at me. I gotta calm down, smoke some weed. Oh man, I can't go to sleep. How many times have you heard that? I can't go to sleep, so I gotta smoke. All compulsive because you're not in control. You're trying to use cannabis to control yourself. Cannabis is not a tool to control yourself because if you give it that role, it will control you. The people who are compulsive with weed don't smoke weed. The weed smokes them. The people that are compulsive with sex don't have sex. The sex has them. The people who are compulsive with alcohol don't drink alcohol. The alcohol drinks them. God damn it, it's wind. Turning this shit off. So you got to realize the difference between indulgence and compulsion. Most people are stuck, rooted in a compulsive state of consciousness, which is associated with your 3 lower chakras. If you're always thinking about survival, sex, or pleasure, because you can get pleasure from such things, and status, you're gonna be stuck in that compulsive state of mind. So everything that you do is compulsive. There was a time period where I had to cut off weed because I was doing it in a compulsive manner, not in a conscious manner, not through indulgence to illuminate higher centers in the brain. Because this shit right here, whether you want to believe it or not, you say I'm woo-woo, wah-wah, hippie shit. No, weed on a psychological level turns on parts of your brain that probably weren't talking before, because this is a mild psychedelic. When you're a consumer compulsive person, you don't view ganja as a psychedelic plant, something that is powerful beyond your imagination. You just view it as a recreational drug to just get high. You don't know the shamanic details behind it. And trust me, I didn't either. Trust me, I did not either. Because the world doesn't tell you that. The Western world doesn't teach you about the underlying nature of reality, how plants, the sun, all these things communicate to you on a deeper psycho-spiritual level, and they just tell you everything that's on the surface. Weed gets you high, makes you feel like this, it does that. They try to do that with psychedelics too as well. You have to realize, as a person who is trying to transcend beyond just the mundane, that there are different uses for everything. There's a spiritual use of things that were physical poisons to you. For some people who are still stuck in the compulsive state of mind, weed is not something they do out of enjoyment for quote-unquote enlightenment. It's all done out of force or need for it. They need the dopamine. They're addicted to the dopamine. They're not using it. They're getting abused by it. Come on, man. That's a ball. Write it down. Write it down. They're getting abused by the material form. And the material form is connected to your body. That's why you feel physical cravings for it. And what's passed to the body is the brain. That's when you get psychological need for it. You know, the physical gets addicted to the senses, but the psychological gets affected and addicted to the routine, aka oral fixation. If you guys have read anything about psychology, there's something called an oral fixation. People who bite their nails, people who smoke just for the act of smoking, they're psychologically dependent to that routine. And now they're mentally addicted, physically addicted, but their soul can never be addicted. So when you tap your consciousness into the states of the spirit beyond the brain and body, nothing can affect that state of consciousness for you. You become unbreakable. This is what's done through the art of self-mastery. Mastery is when you say no to everything. And when you say no to everything, you automatically can start saying yes to things. What the fuck does that even mean? You're probably wondering. Let me break it down. You are born into a state where you're naturally compulsive. You naturally are addicted to chasing dopamine in the external world. That's your default fucking setting. Or when you play the video game of life, that's where you start off on. That's ground zero. So everything you do is literally almost poison to you. You get addicted to it. You get attached to it because you have not developed these states of consciousness beyond that. You have not gone up to the upper levels of this building yet. You were born into the bottom floor of an apartment. You've never seen the higher levels. And in order for you to not be compulsive, you can't use the elevator. You have to master yourself by going up those stairs. As you go up those stairs, you learn to physically, mentally detach from the bottom layers. So on the chakra scale, that is your lower 3 chakras: survival, sex, status, the Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura chakra. Most people in today's day and age are stuck in that. They're stuck in the lower parts of the spine, only thinking about that. Only thinking about that. And what does that reinforce? That they are just a brain and body. Survival, sex, and status, done in a compulsive manner, only stimulates the senses. It does not actually spark the spirit because you're doing it from that manner. So you cannot do, quote unquote, anything in a conscious manner. You have to learn it. And the way you learn it is through renunciation. You have to say no, no, no to things to the point where you get control over it. And once you get control over it, you're the one indulging in it. You're the one getting into whatever act it is. You're not getting hijacked. A good analogy is when you have sexual urges. And those sexual urges just make you act out in a way that you never wanted to. Go on this site, do this deed, do that. It's not the act in itself that was quote unquote evil or bad. It's just you're a bitch to your dick, to your sexual urges. So you go and do it without your control. You're getting dragged by your own body to go do something that you never consciously chose to. That's why you feel the shame and guilt. That because you feel helpless. You're just getting smacked around by your own consciousness because it was programmed to do these things because it is in the animal form, the biological form, but you have a consciousness to be aware of that. And now your car is driving you to a place you never wanted to go. And all these things, weed, alcohol, sex, all these things, when it's done in a compulsive manner, that's where it leads to. You're not in control. So when you detach from weed, when you detach from anything for a certain period of time, and you develop your consciousness to the point where you won't be sucked into that cycle, conscious cycle of compulsion, you can go play around with the fire and not get burnt. You become immovable by it. You can say yes to the weed or you can say no to the weed. You can say yes to the sex or you can say no to the sex. It's not just yes, 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 yes. You have a yes and no option now. Dude, this is the fried brain talking, man. This is when the connections gotta hit. I'm breaking this down for y'all like a brick. This is when it's gotta hit. When you finally have the yes and no option, now you're playing the game. You don't just have one button on the controller. When you are at that point and you indulge in things like cannabis, which is a tool that has been used for ages and ages and ages in indigenous cultures to commune with higher levels of consciousness, turn on different parts of the brain, if you want to call it that, to open up different parts of this game. They have been doing like that because they first went through initiatory prerequisites of being able to have that yes and no option. This is what mystery schools were doing. This is what yoga schools were doing, tantra schools were doing. All these things, not to go against the material world. Oh, everything is bad, weed is bad, this is bad, that's bad, I need to run away from it. No, but to, strengthen themselves in a spiritual gym, a conscious gym, to the point where they can go into the fire and not get burnt. Then the thing that once was burning you now illuminates you, now it opens up things. Smoking weed before you have that control is like just straight dopamine. You're just doing it compulsively. You're not doing it with any intention. When you do it with intention, it amplifies the power of it, because now you're directing that beam of energy and attention that it gives you, because it is a source of energy. You are ingesting a source of energy when you smoke, when you eat food, all that stuff. And now when you can control that energy, where do you aim it to? Most people, their energy are all correlated to compulsive manner, survival, sex, and status. They smoke weed. They just want to have they have munchies. I'm fasted with smoking weed to get to altered states of consciousness. My aim is higher than the lower things. The lower things are not bad, but my aim is higher. Most people don't even know there's anything else to aim at. Survival, sex, status. So when they get high, they get altered states of consciousness, that's what they think about. And for some people, thinking about survival, sex, and status, they're either attached to or averse to. What the fuck do I mean by that? Either people are attached to it, aka they're so focused on it that they want to run towards it, or they're so attached to it in a sense where they're averse from it. They want to run away from it. People that have grown up in religious backgrounds, they view things in the material as evil. Evil. Weed is evil. It's literally bad. There's nothing in this world that is inherently bad or good. The natural life without free will, instinctual life, biological life. If you see an animal kill another animal, do you view it as bad? That is neither bad nor good. It just is. But we have been programmed in a situation to be in that dualistic mindset. Most mainstream religions, aka the Abrahamic faith, it's dualistic. And it's dogmatic. So some people who grew up in that, they're not attached to it, but they're still quote unquote attached to it in a sense where they're addicted to running away from it, not running towards it. Some people become addicted to running towards it. Some people become addicted to running away from it. But at the end of the day, you're still saying yes to it because you're giving all the energy. When you have real masculine vigor to you, real deal divine masculine overall energy within you, vigor, vitality within you, you can say no to things and not worry about it. You have found something within yourself that is better than all these things through removing it. If you say no to certain things that you're addicted to, eventually, I'm telling you, your mind will start to find and align with the motherfucking divine. This is why on the quote-unquote right-hand path of ascending yoga or self-mastery in better terms, you say no to certain things. You say no to it because you're always saying yes, and you get power by that. AKA the percentage right now of you being able to indulge in things is just you always say yes. Yes. You don't have an option. It's 100%. You want it to get it to 50-50. As you go up this mountain of self-mastery, you're saying no to certain things, and at that same time, you're not saying yes to everything. You get the control back. So it gets 50-50. That's the top of the mountain, aka of self-realization. the road to self-realization. You know who you are beyond the brain and body because you are not addicted to the brain or body. Because you said no to things that have made you bound to it. You finally open up a new dimension of life. That is when you go up the chakras, go up the spine, go up your nervous system. Most people are operating in the nervous system, not in a biological and anatomical manner, but in the lower third of the spine, in a Eastern anatomical look at it. Eastern anatomy uses psychology and fuses it with spirituality. That's the chakra system, those planes of consciousness. And when you're stuck in there, you're always looking down, down, down. When you aim your direction high, you have to say, in order to open up the new realm, you have to say no, 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 no to things. That's the path of renunciation. That's why if you look at these sages, you look at these yogis, you look at these mystics, they all went through that phase. That phase of saying no to things to reclaim back power, to take back the reins of their own mind and body, because they start to develop the strength of the soul. The strength of the soul is subtle. The strength of the soul is beyond this realm. To develop it, you develop it through using the brain and body, but you're developing power outside of the brain and body, if that makes sense. The spirit is eternal. It's bound. It's not bounded. Your consciousness is just rooted in a specific part of it right now. The higher you go up in the spine, the more the radius, if you want to call it that, of your consciousness starts to spread. The higher you go up the spine, that's where you hit ego death. That's where you hit states of consciousness where you are completely past the mind and body. Psychedelics get you to that point. Weed, if done through ritualistic means, can get you to that point. But also, you can have nothing and get to that point. That's when you have the most power. When you have nothing. When you can get into that thing in nothing. When you can get to that state of complete detachment with nothing. Because you've shown yourself you can do it all yourself. You can reach back to godhood yourself. Complete bliss, complete silence, saying no to everything, back into the void. Now you can play both games. You can close the door or open the door. The door is not always open and the door is not always closed. You can move things. You don't have just one parameter of life, no or yes. It's yes and no. Are you picking up what the fuck I'm putting down, man? I'm serious. I'm serious. This is the fried talks, but you got to be on that level to pick up what I'm putting down right now. And for the people that are clicking with that, for the people that made it this far into the video, I'm telling you, man, this is the path of self-mastery. This is what it gets you to. This is what we talk about over here on this channel, The Philosopher Files. This is what we talk about over on the main channel, The Philosopher. If you don't know about the main channel yet, come on now, bro. Come on now. That's where we do all of our highly nice cut, edited, documentary style content, podcasts, spiritual text breakdowns. Over here is where we do our in the field, in the flesh, no cuts, no edits, raw talk, unscripted and unedited content. If you like that, if you're messing with that, that's what we're cooking up over here. But if you want to see the other side of the coin, that's what we got over on the main channel, The Philosopher. If you don't know about the main channel yet, description box down below, click that link. You'll see the main channel. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and tune in. As well as underneath that link in the description box, you can find my Instagram. If you ever want to chop it up about these different types of concepts, talk about these different types of topics, my DMs are always open. Just hit your boy up. Hit your boy up. Again, all that good stuff, description box down below. But if you want to go even deeper than this channel and the main channel, you want to take your life on the journey of self-mastery to the next level. To the next level. you got to tune in with the private Patreon community, man. Shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. Let's take a quick pause, because right now, what I need you to do, if you're ready to make that leap, is go find the closest mirror to you. Find the closest mirror to you. I'll wait. I'll wait. And take a good hard look in that mirror. I don't care if it's in your bathroom mirror. I don't care if it's in the car window. I don't care if it's in the selfie camera of your phone. Take a good hard look in that mirror, because that dude, that's staring right into your eye, that's staring right into your soul, motherfucker. Take a good hard mental picture of him. Click clack Kodak moment. Let it marinate in your mind. Let it sink into your psyche. And you need to realize that you're doing that motherfucker, not me. The guy that's staring right into your eyes when you look into that mirror, a huge disfavor by not joining up into the private Patreon community. Because within there, man, we are truly uncovering the esoteric science of self-mastery to a level that you have not seen. To a level that you have not seen. Like, if you're enjoying what we talk about over here, over on the main channel, your mind is going to be blown with what we're cooking up over on the private Patreon community, because we are truly uncovering the esoteric science of self-mastery with all these exclusive videos to help you make gains on every single layer of reality, the mind, body, and soul, in order to dissolve your karmas and discover your dharma, aka get rid of the things that are in the way of you being able to control your life and aim it towards a place that will bring you the most fulfillment. Tap into your divine potential. Come on, bro. That's what we're cooking up over on the private Patreon community. So not only you get access to all of that, all those exclusive videos, our full guides, the in-depth occult lectures, but most importantly, you get an invitation to the Philosopher's Circle, the inner circle community of the Patreon, where you'll be joined by a group of men who are also on this journey of self-mastery. We got a private group chat with people that are going to hold you accountable, with people who want to see you elevate, and eventually people who want to see you liberate. Not just physically, not just mentally, but most importantly, spiritually. If you want to be surrounded with people like that, because you probably already heard the saying that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with the most, the more that you're around those people that are stuck in that state of compulsion that we just talked about before, the more that you're going to reflect it like a mirror. You want to get into a sacred space, a sacred sanctuary, to where people are ping-ponging off the spiritual illumination with each other to help us ascend. That's what we've been missing. This type of stuff has been told and talked about for ages in these mystery schools. This is your modern day mystery school. So welcome to the Philosopher's Circle. If you're ready to actually make that leap, join the community, check out the link posted in the pinned comment of this video, not the description box. The description box is where you'll find the link to, again, the main channel of the Philosopher, my Instagram, DM me if you want, talk about this. But when you look under the comment section, it's right there for you. Click that link, you'll be forwarded to our page, and from there you can join, get access to the private Patreon community, and also check out the other services that we provide, such as personalized coaching programs. If you're someone who's, again, truly serious about this path, that you're ready to make that leap into the unknown, that's what this coaching program is all about. Making a system, formulating a pattern for you to dissolve those chains that are making you a slave to saying yes, 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 yes. Not being able to alter your states of consciousness. Not being able to have control over where you direct your energy, your mental, physical, and spiritual energy. If you want to let go of all that, break free from all that, regain back control so you can aim your points, your scope of life towards the direction of your dharma, aka your destiny, aka what's going to make you the most fulfilled in life, and also help uplift the collective consciousness of humanity to your shape and form, then this is the coaching program designed for you. Designed for you. Because we're going to use all these parts of self-mastery to your advantage to recreate the new and actually liberated version of yourself. We're going to map out the guide, because you already know your answers. You already know where your dharma is. You already know what it is you were brought here to do, who you are beyond the brain and body. You're just stuck in a state of spiritual amnesia. Your dharma is like the sun. The sun is always out. The sun is always out. But sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's snowing. That dharma, that true self that is revealed through this path of self-mastery is right now for you, waiting for you to awaken to it. It's just covered up by clouds, covered up by snow, covered up by karma. Karma is not good and bad. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those chains that make you addicted to saying yes to kush, yes to drugs, yes to alcohol, yes to sex, yes to whatever. All those things that are pulling you to that attachment, that's the only thing that is blocking you from actually discovering true inner bliss. That is all from within. It's eternal. It is spiritual ecstasy. Right now you're stuck in spiritual amnesia, and that's blocking you from being able to access spiritual ecstasy. If you are ready to take that leap of faith to going towards that path, that's what this coaching program is all about, guiding you throughout that journey. If you need any more information, shoot the application form, link again in the pinned comments video, and we'll see if your entry meets the qualifications for this coaching program. But if you just want to book a one-time call with your boy, discuss anything that you're dealing with to help you get back on the right track, that's what we got these consultation calls for too as well. Again, all that good stuff posted in the pinned comment of this video. Make sure you go run it up. But all the stuff that we talk about on all these different platforms are about right now giving you back that control to say no and yes. Because then when you are in that state, you are able to go up and down the spine however you want. Think about it like this. You are born on that bottom floor. You have to take the stairs up all the way to the top to access the elevator. Once you have access to the elevator, you can go to any one of these floors whenever you want. All of those floors are states of consciousness along your spine. You can bring it up, bring it down. You're not stuck to the down parts and you're not stuck to the upper parts. You're fluid. That's what you want in life, to be fluid. You don't want to be rigid. You don't want to be attached to something, and you don't want to be hating something. That's why, again, a lot of people on the spiritual path, they start to become very attached to detachment. I have to say no to everything. No, 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 until that becomes their addiction. So you have to learn how to cultivate that yes and no, and not just rely on the no all the time. You don't want to be stuck on no, and you don't want to be stuck on yes. People view that you're either a good, religious person that doesn't indulge in things, or you're just hedonistic. Go look at the world around you. That's what people are, either hedonistic or super, brainwashed against that. The natural world, again, is not good or bad. You can engage in things like weed, like something that might have been a poison for you before, and use it to alter your states of consciousness. Use it to going up and down that elevator. You want to be able to get to a point where you can just use yourself to get up that elevator, which is developed through all these practices. That's when you get true power. Not when you have cars, clothes, money, and hoes, because you all know, you get more of those, you want more of those. Because you become addicted to the status it gives you. This game that the world throws out in front of you is either survival, sex, or status. But you need to go beyond the little hive mind of the world into the spiritual world, into that layer of existence, to play a different game. That's through self-mastery. You got to cultivate that power. So you can use things that were once poison to you before towards where you want to aim it. If you enjoy it, you can smoke it whenever you want, rather than the cannabis smoking you. And when you start doing this, now you can alter your state of consciousness, because cannabis is very, very powerful, like a psychedelic, to get you to that point. All the stuff that we talked about before was a prerequisite to get to the point where you can indulge in cannabis, you can indulge in psychedelics, and not be a slave to them. You can be addicted to the psychedelic world. Stoners, hippies, they get addicted, they lose their ground. They just are completely no, and they don't have any anchor. They'll just drift off. They're high up in the clouds, high up in the sky. They're stuck at the top floor. They cannot get back down. You want to be able to go up and down that ladder. So this can be escape for some people if you're not doing that compulsive manner. But when it stops becoming an escape, it allows you to view this reality, not move yourself out of this reality, but view this reality from a higher perspective. That is how cannabis is used to alter your consciousness. You get high, you're looking from a higher perspective. And I'm not trying to say as in higher, as in like a metric. It's just a different perspective. The perspective that you're not used to. So you're not used to it, it obviously looks higher to you. You see things and things slow down. Things slow down for you to analyze on a level where you're not stuck in survival, sex, and status. You can look at things from that alterated point of view. And you can also, with cannabis, get into your lunar state of consciousness, your subconsciousness. Your subconsciousness is the side of your brain that holds all those little minor chips that causes you to have specific mannerisms that are beyond your control. This is why Carl Jung states, until the unconscious becomes conscious, you will be living life in a compulsive manner, not in those exact words, but in a compulsive manner, and you'll call it fate. You'll be at the whims to life and you'll call it fate. Oh man, this is just, destined for me. And destiny is all prescribed on the state of being able to say yes and no. You're destined to get to that state. That's your true dharma. That's everyone's true dharma, but it's expressed after that in a different way. Because now when you can say yes and no to everything in life, there is no hate or there is no addiction. You choose the things that are not keeping you bound to the body anymore. You're doing things that satisfy the soul. Because you find the same bliss with or without sex, with or without drugs. So the drugs essentially just get you to another state. They don't keep you in that yes or no. When you indulge in it, it doesn't get you to baseline anymore. It gets you beyond that. Because you're doing it compulsively. Not compulsively, you're doing it with indulgence. This is when you start getting power over reality that the same person just a couple months ago, a couple years ago, would smoke and completely get overtaken by marijuana. I've been there. You can get completely overtaken by it because it has that hold on you, because you are dependent to it to get a specific feeling. But what if you could get high just by yourself? Getting high with this, getting high by yourself is the same. It's the same. What if you can get to that state? So you can operate the same exact way if you had weed or you didn't have weed, if you had sex or you didn't have sex, if you had food or if you didn't have food. That's what fasting does. Can you operate in that same way? If you're dependent on food to give you a specific result every single time, of course you're biologically dependent on it, but you don't want your entire life to be uprooted in that to where you cannot adapt. Yes, it's the optimal way, but the most optimal way is being able to be adaptable in life. Being able to say yes and no, because now you're in the flames of life and you're weaving around it. You're still enough to be able to weave around it. Before, you were drowning in life. And you don't want to just stay stuck on the shore of the beach saying no to everything. You want to jump back in the water. But now, since you've trained yourself, you can actually swim in the water rather than just drown. Some people, when they smoke this, they drown. Some people, when they smoke this, they start surfing. God damn, that's a fucking bar. Some people just start swag surfing across the cosmos with this kush. Because now they tap into that lunar state of mind. Have you ever noticed Be honest. Comment down below. Smoking weed at night is totally different than smoking weed in the daytime. You get way deeper in your subconscious mind. Way deeper. And that shows you things that are going on in your life without you even being cognizantly aware of it. You become aware of the self. You don't become self-aware. Become aware of the self, because you're not just aware of the self, you have mastered the self. You can go through all different layers. You're not just aware of it. When you say you're aware of something, you kind of know it's there. But when you master something, you know everything about it. In order for you to be fully self-aware, you must master that parameter of the self, of you. Weed shows you parts of that you can still access with just yourself. You can get to those states just with yourself. But this is a fast track to there, just like psychedelics. I've said it so many times. Psychedelics are steroids for spiritual growth. It gets you up into those states, but you can't stabilize the state because you have not built up the ladder to that point. It alters your state of consciousness. Weed will get you to that lunar state that you rarely hit. You rarely engage with, but it's engaging through you in life 24/7. And it's able to be viewed within the dream state. You know, a lot of people stop having dreams when they smoke weed, is they cannot navigate the subconscious mind without it. So the subconscious mind is just something that the weed won't show you. It can only just get you to the door. You have to be able to open it. It can get you to the doors of these states of consciousness. If you are not doing proper practices before you even take psychedelics, you might not have a spiritual experience. It'll bring you up to the spiritual door, which is the division between the dualistic plane. When you start going beyond the brain and body, it can get you to the door to the next realm, but it can't open it for you. Your state of consciousness must be open enough to do it when it gets you there. So when you're doing it compulsively, you cannot shoot up your consciousness enough to really open up those doors. It just gets you to those states. You just feel high, you feel faded, you feel delusional. You feel delusional because you feel like you're in another dimension, but you can't explore it yet. When you're conscious enough, you can ride this roller coaster, consciously speaking, and you can actually maneuver it. You can actually take the shroom experience where you kind of want to direct it. You can take the weed experience a little bit because you know how it works and you know how to get to those states without it. You can meditate and get to these same states, and you will become more powerful by doing it. But you'll never know how to use this to get to those states if all you know is this. You have to be able to break free from that. You have to be self-dependent on your own mind, body, and soul to get you to those states through these practices. When you practice things like semen retention, what you are really doing. This is going to be a good little cut for y'all who've made it this far into the video, because this is a fried podcast. This is a fried podcast. So if you're here, you're the real ones. You're the real ones, and you're still not part of the philosopher's circle. Come on now, man. Tap in with us. Tap in. You deserve to see what we're cooking up over there. You deserve it. But this process of, what the fuck was I saying? This of semen retention. My bad. See, fried podcast. When you practice semen retention, what you are doing is cultivating more velocity to move your consciousness around the spine. That sounds fucking ridiculous, but hear me out. You get more power because where your prana, aka your vital force that keeps you alive, the thing that keeps you alive is not just blood, it's not just food, they're all forms of prana, blood prana, food prana. But there's also sexual cosmic prana, your sexual energy. These traditional schools of Tantra and all these schools of Vedic philosophy, the yogis, viewed that force, that force of prana, the most powerful. The most powerful. Because it has the ability to create another human being. Something as complex. Has the potential to merge with something and create that. That's why they viewed it with such high regard. And they realized that wasn't the only way of expressing that energy. That energy, wherever our consciousness is at, wherever your consciousness sits on the spine, is where your energy will be directed towards. If your consciousness is stuck rooted on survival, where is your energy going to be directed towards? Not sex. You're in fight or flight mode. When you're in fight or flight mode, like you're in a fight, or you're getting chased, or something that is intense happening to you, if something intense is happening to you, you're not thinking about sex, you're not thinking about status, you're thinking about survival. So you're thinking about food, you're thinking about safety, physical safety, you're thinking about water, you're thinking about your own like relative property, not just your body, but where you call your place, aka like bills, house, this, that. Like you are trying to just protect this physical form. That's the best way I can put it. That's survival mode. Protect this physical form, protect this shell, protect the body. That's your first root of consciousness. If you're stuck in that state, all your energy is directed there. Let's say you got that figured so your consciousness can go up another level. And when it goes up another level, it goes into sex mainly, or just overall pleasure seeking. Lust, food, pornography, alcohol, sex, drugs, entertainment, just dopamine. That's where it goes next. If you can go beyond that, which is what semen retention does, if you can control that one, out of all those different compulsions that come out of that plane of consciousness, the pleasure one, if you can control sex, you can control basically the main majority of it. This is the head of the snake. You wrestle that head of the snake. For most men, not all men, but if you can wrestle that head of the snake, literally wrestle your goddamn snake and tame it, now you got access to that Kundalini energy. Now this is where Kundalini can start to uncoil. In the Muladhara, it was asleep. Now it's asleep, now it's awake, but it needs to start uncoiling. It starts uncoiling at the sex center. If you guys know about the coiled serpent, that book, which is the best book on this topic, to really break it down for you guys. If you guys have read that, that's where it starts uncoiling, that serpent. Now at that point, that serpent goes up to other states of consciousness such as status, power. Power within this world, what they program you to believe is power, is money, cars, bitches, muscles. And none of these things are bad, but if you make them your God, aka that's what you want in life, that's the only thing, you get stuck into that thing. The only thing that gets you past that is individual status. How is individual status built? You say what you, not what you want, but you follow the path that's for you. You build your own power. You stop being a slave to systematical views of society. You're not playing the success game of what other people have told you. My version of success is not like your version of success. You might look at me as somebody that is unsuccessful. I can look at your life and look at you as unsuccessful. Who's right? Who's wrong? That is what's developed in that plane of consciousness when you take back control over it. You've been programmed to believe bitches, Bugattis, and biceps is the highest aim of life. Is the highest aim of life. That's what success is. That's what's going to get you status. That's what's going to get you recognized. But in reality, you have to keep playing that game because that's an external game. The game keeps changing. In a couple years from now, the the status quo, what success is going to be the exact opposite. Traditional, this, that. The pendulum swings. If you keep playing the game of the pendulum, you're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back. You're not stable. When you're in the middle and can choose to go this way or that way, that's when you have the actual power. That's where people get stuck into. They use society's view of success as their view of success. And when they do that, you're always playing the game of society. What's the most popular? What's the good thing to do? You don't form your own brain. You get stuck in the hive. But when you can burn yourself free from that hive by building up tapas, building up spiritual fire that is directly associated with the solar plexus chakra, the third one, the one that we're on right now, when you can build up that through spiritual discipline, you can get into the heart chakra. That is the middle point between the material and the spiritual. Or better yet, the material and now the mental is past that. The throat chakra, the Vishuddhi. That's the mental plane. That's where you create, that's where you innovate, that's where you psychically engage with the world through ideas, creation. That's the mental. As I'm saying this, cops are after me. He's smoking kush. Get him. Altering our states of consciousness. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. But once you get up into that heart, you bridge into the mental now. You're not stuck on just the material. Because now you have free will. You're not a slave to saying yes, 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 yes to everything. Now you have free will. Free will doesn't mean just yes, it means no too. Now you can actually. That's what you're destined to be. You're fated to have free will as a human, but most people don't realize that. They stay stuck as an animal, which is an iPhone. You're in this human realm, and you, again, you were dropped off at the bottom level of the apartment, but your apartment that you have is on the 4th floor. That's your actual apartment, but you keep living in the apartment that somebody else trying to push you into. They're not letting you up into your own apartment. You are not letting yourself into that own apartment when you're stuck just in the material world, because you are designed to go beyond that. You know, imagine an animal only has 3-4 planes of chakras, because that's the vessel, that's the amount of battery it has on a spiritual level. That is expressed in a specific manner. You have that same energy level and the spiritual level, but it's expressed in a higher, more subtle manner. Your natural is supposed to be more subtle than the physical dense. That's when you get into the heart, and you can bridge on over into the mind. Now, the mind is being illuminated. And guess where all this energy is being uncoiled from again? The generative principle, the generative organs. Because once you have some type of grounding in the roots of this world, you can actually start climbing. And that climb requires energy. But you need your foot down, then you climb. You plant your foot down, then you use energy. That planting of your foot and raising up with energy is where the sexual energy uncoils and starts going up. But some people, again, just get stuck at that level. Then they get stuck at the status. But once you get into the heart, that's your middle ground now. That's when you have hit that point to where you can continue your ascent. That's the first checkpoint. Get out of survival, sex, and status and get into your anchor, the anahata, the heart chakra. Then climb up to the next mountain, the next peak of the mind. Then you have two more left. The ajna, where you can get it first. In the mind, you start to become in a creative mode. You use your mind to create reality. You're not subject to the physical world creating life for you. Beforehand, you're just responding to life. When you get into the mind, you can start manipulating life. Because you can change your consciousness up and down, change the light bulbs to which one needs light for the time. now you are fluid. But in order to get into the state that is past the mind, into the spiritual, you need to let go even of that. So you got to get even more subtle. More subtle. Your awareness got to get more pinpoint. Because you're going from a wide lens all the way down to the anatomic lens. Because that's where it awaits you at the top. The anatomical lens of life, because you become life. You become, there is no barrier anymore. From the lower three chakras to the heart, that's like a barrier. There's barriers to each one of them, but that's like the main checkpoint. The next checkpoint is to go past the mind. Going past the mind requires you to cut off the mind. And what do I mean by cut off the mind? Cut off all mental stimulation. So far, you've been able to cut off physical stimulation through the mind. Now you need to cut off mental stimulation through the spirit. This is when you can get into states that marijuana can get you into. I'm in the no mind state. I haven't thought about a single thing I said. This is just subconscious lunar flow. Subconscious. Marijuana, Mary Jane, feminine energy, lunar, the moon, menstrual cycles. There's so many, I'm telling you, that's what we break down in the Patreon. That's what we get down to the interconnecting dots. So tap in. That's those levels that marijuana can get you into. Again, you can do all these things yourself. If you depend on marijuana to get you to that state, you're still a slave. But when you can get into that state, that's when you get into the spiritual. That's when you get into the plane beyond. And to me, weed is the in-between space of going from the throat to the ajna. When you get high, where is your sensation? It'll show you where you're subconsciously rooted. If you're somebody, when you get high, you get paranoid, you're stuck in the root chakra. Because it gets you up to that point. It gets you up to the ajna. Psychedelics even more. But it gets you up into that point between the Vishuddhi and the ajna, the throat and the ajna chakra. It gets you up into that point, and you will be subconsciously aware of where the anchor is. If the anchor is in the heart, past the actual physical body, then you're going to be rested more in the heart. You're going to feel compassion. You're going to feel the feminine breath of life. That fiery but soothing breath of life. You start to bring life more into awareness. That's what you get. And then that becomes your anchor, because you go beyond just the physical plane. And then now you're getting to the subtle. So if you're able to actually send your consciousness up the scale to the point where you're at least at the heart and you're at the throat chakra, then you're going to feel your consciousness up in the higher elevated areas, and you're going to start getting those tensings of your forehead, the ringings in your forehead. You start to hear something called it's actually called the anahata, because it's also felt here. It's felt here, but it's heard here. Om is you hit the drum. Om. You hit the drum, but the sound has not reached you yet. It's strumming within you. That's the cosmic love that you feel. And you start to hear it here. It starts to be expressed here. What do I mean by that? If you're rooted at the heart, or you've at least got to the heart, you've hit that before. And the first time I hit it was with the mushrooms, to hit that state, the non-dual state. Then you naturally want to start creating things for the betterment of not just yourself, but of the reality, because now you view yourself as a part of reality, not just a little animal within it that is basically just rooted to the survival aspect, the pleasure aspect. You go beyond that. You're at least into the mind now. That's why they call the heart the mind in a lot of these occult and esoteric schools. Now, at that point, what you create is infused with that. It's infused with ojas. This is why we actually dropped a video on the Patreon about how celibacy creates that divine voice, not in a sense that you sound like a radio artist. Like, listen to my voice. I sound raspy. I sound like a smoker, you know? But I'm able to actually speak to people's consciousnesses, not just their dick, not just their stomach, not just their status. I'm not just talking to them about that. I'm talking from a higher level, so they gotta look higher. Just a little higher. And a lot of people are talking at this level, not just me. But when you develop ojas, when that spiritual energy goes up in there, the next layer it gets expressed into is the mind, what you create. You start to reproduce psychic offspring, aka your ideas, your innovations. Every one of these videos is my imprint on reality. I'm impregnating reality on an intellectual level. People, what is having a kid about on the base biological level? To pass on your genes. Your genes are you. You're just a different expression of them. So you want to live forever, and the way you do that is through kids. That's the only way you think that you can pass on your imprint on reality, because all that you think you are is just the brain and body. You can leave an imprint on life that is more powerful than even, I would say, no, actually no, because that's another layer. But you can express your imprint and impregnate reality on a psychological level that lives in people's minds forever. Books, teachings, every one of these videos, till I, even after I die, can be impressed onto people's psyches. My genes on a psychological level are passed on. That's what you can do with your creative energy, your life force energy. You can impregnate life intellectually. You can create psychic offspring that will give you the same satisfaction if you're at that plane than it was to have kids. You create something that passes on those genes, what you do on an intellectual level, so you're not stuck to just the physical level. Because when you're at the top, then you can choose those two layers of reality. You have access to the 4th floor and the 2nd floor. You're not just stuck in the 2nd floor. See what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? That's what happens to you when you get that control. You can express in this manner, that manner. You can go up the northern path or the southern path. You're the one that directs it, though. You can intellectually reproduce, or you can physically reproduce. And what that's going to give you is just freedom and liberation in life. Weed is a tool to get you to that point to realize that. That's when you hit the spirit. Because when you hold your power, that is taking back power from the physical. Where you direct that power is through the mental. But where you aim that power is the spiritual level. That's where you can aim life. But when you're at that state, you have one more left and you're aiming for that. That is liberation. Because once you hit that, you hit the top of the mountain, and from that point you can go to any layer of life. When you're hiking, or if you've gone to these, trails that go really high up in the mountains, are you somebody that is okay with just seeing the base, seeing halfway, seeing 70, seeing 80? If there's even last 10% left, you still want to see it? Those are true seekers. They just want to see it for themselves. They want direct experience. This is one thing that psychedelics can give you, a direct experience, but it's through the train of psychedelics. It's through that train. You can get to those states, but when you can do it yourself, it's like when When you use psychedelics, it's like taking a helicopter up to the top of the mountain. You can see everything, like at the top of the mountain, but you can't stay there. You can't actually step foot on it. You can't get the grounding on it. Your feet aren't up there. Your head is up there, but your feet aren't up there. So imagine like you're on the bottom of a ladder and your hand is touching but the top of it, but the bottom, your feet are still touching the ground. It reaches you up there, but it can't realize you up there. We can get you to the state before that shift. You get into the mind and you're in the subtle space before the shift. If you can use weed as a tool to get you there and focus your energy on going up only from there, you don't have to make the full ascent. That's where you can get tastes of divine realization but come back down. That's what can happen when you use weed on a spiritual level. You can aim that energy, aim that Shakti, aim that source of prana that comes from it, and mentally shoot it towards that direction. If you use weed without that, you jump to that state, but then you shoot downwards, back to the lower planes. That's what you really want to use all these psychedelics too for. That's what the shaman uses. He uses poison for some people, but he does inner alchemy beforehand to turn that poison into a fuel for gold. Your seed is a poison to some people. Oh man, I wish I had no urges, this and that. If you wish you had no urges and you're someone that's trying to practice semen retention, this and that means you don't want power. You just want to lay down and essentially be a little victim to society, victim to reality. You're not saying, I want to learn how to use this. You didn't choose, this car. Your karma's created this car, this physical being, where you're at in reality. But the soul remains the same. The more times you go on this cycle of samsara, your soul has been in different vehicles. Each one of those vehicles are karmically formed by the things that you hold from each incarnation. Right now, this incarnation that you're given in has done some form of karmic dissolvement to the point to be able to actually listen to this type of concepts and topics. You can grasp it. And you being able to grasp it shows you that you're ready to make that next level switch. You're operating from, you're at least in the heart, or you've touched the heart before. You're in that state. The people that have not have already clicked off this video. I promise you that. I promise you that. The people that have gone at least up to the heart or further can correlate to what I'm saying, can pick up what I'm putting out, because I'm not just out here recreating the wheel. That is not what I'm doing. Everything I'm saying has been said and done plenty of times. I'm just trying to break it down for like a brick for y'all and turn this ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge, ancient esoteric arts of mastering yourself, a science of it. Yogas are literally sciences of it. Psychology is literally a science of that. Biology is a literal science of the mind, body, and soul being mastered. That's already been broken down for us. I'm just trying to make it more applicable and practical for the modern man to apply it into his life, because not many men are going to be on this journey. Not many men have hit that point. And you did something before to help you out on that journey, but now it's your job to take the baton, take that stick that they give to each other in track and field, and it's your time to run that bitch. Are you going to run it backwards? Because that's your natural tendency, to run backwards. Gravity pulls you down. You have to actually start moving forwards. That's through further self-mastery, further meditation, further tools to where you can actually cultivate the ability to use things like psychedelics to get you in that state. If you ever meditate on weed, meditate on shrooms, just microdose of it, you are in a different dimension that sometimes feels more than this. Why? Is because this is the most subtle, more detailed. It gets finely detailed. Everything starts to zoom in more. You become more sensitive because now the brain is more active. Your nervous system is firing more up on the brain. That's when you're playing at a different level on this game of life. You've upgraded your consciousness. You've upgraded the character of your consciousness. It's not just stuck rooted to the body, now it's stuck rooted to the brain and body. Your ego has now gone past just survival, sex, and status. Now the ego, the identity, has gone into the mind. People can stay stuck here too. Weed is what can get you a little unstuck from that and help you, if you've developed the power to climb from that Manipura chakra, you can keep climbing. But you have to learn how to make that jump from mind to spirit without psychedelics. That's the hardest shift. That's the hardest thing. I don't know the exact temperatures, but quote me on this, I don't know. Search it up. The power to turn ice into water, I would suggest, is less than the power or fire needed to turn water, liquid, into gas. Look it up. This is just off the dome. But that's you going from physical to mental. Mental is a water. Subconscious mind. From mental to gas, though, takes more precision. Takes more energy. I might be totally wrong too, but that's just what clicks in my head. That's the hardest shift. That's the whole journey of self-mastery, but that's when you get into the precise aspects of it, the psychology of it, the science of it. You're ready to make that shift. You are ready to make that shift because you would have clicked off this video. Weed can get you to that point, but the path of self-mastery, the detailed versions, okay, of course, we're breaking over down here, main channel, the private Patreon community, especially on the coaching program. That shift can be done from within. I've been there, I've made that shift. And this is the journey of it. Again, many people have made that shift to operating from those higher states. How stable is it? That's where the question resides on how you can get to the next point, because you have to stabilize each state before you can get up. You got to plant your feet. You can't just run up with just your hands up this ladder. You have to plant your feet, root yourself down. You're literally climbing a mountain, but this is the mountain of self-mastery. And now we're getting at the top. It gets a little sketchy because shit starts to narrow down. You're starting to get to the monistic point, the peak pinnacle, the sharp point at the top of the pyramid. That's when you need to be more precise. And that's when you start to need more energy to help you out. That generative energy is coming from, of course, those reproductive organs. That's the fuel of the body that is beyond, just food, things like that. It's that vital force. And this might not be proven through just science, but this is an esoteric science. Anyone who has gone under somewhat of a prolonged period of celibacy, even though I'm somebody that is not telling you guys to just over obsess about how many days you've gone on it, it's just giving you the energy. You can be on it for 1,000 days, but that energy, that consciousness is still stuck in the second plane, and you feel like you're repressing. Oh man, fuck it. The energy is gonna eventually pop. You want the energy to flow up and down, anywhere you want it. You're fucking prana bending. Avatar Last Airbender, you're fucking prana bending, not air bending. You're prana bending. That's what a yogi does. Prana bends, moves his consciousness up and down the spine, however way he wants, because he has a choice. He can actually dribble. He got the handle of it. He can drive the boat. That state is where you're trying to aim for when you get to the peak pinnacle point. That's the monistic point. That is one point of consciousness. That is when you have shut everything off. Because to get to that point, you have to shut off all karma till you are rebirthed again, but on a spiritual level. What your soul is looking for is spiritual rebirth. but you've been stuck on physical rebirth. Self-mastery is how you get to that spiritual rebirth. Firmly rooting yourself at the top of the mountain so you can go up and down however you want. Obviously, getting down is difficult too, but now you have the option to get down. That's the left-hand path. And that's where you develop the ability to say yes and no. At the top, you just have the option yes and no. But when you start going down the mountain, that's when you can use weed for your actual benefits. It's no longer hindering you. On the other side of the mountain, if you use weed, hinder you. You use sex, hinder you, because you're naturally attached to it, or you're naturally averse to it. But when you're coming down the mountain, you can choose yes or no, and you're still going down the mountain. It doesn't hinder your progress. It actually helps to progress because you're reintegrating everything back into your life. You're deconstructing the ego and reconstructing the ego. You're not living with the ego that the world has constructed for you anymore. If you're sick and tired of that, you got to go up this mountain of self-mastery, and you got to go down it. And as you go down it, you can have power over the things you do. Either you're addicted to weed or you hated it. But now you don't have to be addicted to weed, but you also can enjoy it. You don't have to be addicted to sex, but you also can enjoy it. You don't have to be addicted to any of these things, but you can enjoy it if you want. It's you have control. That's the point you want to get to, because that's when you can unlock weed for its real powers, to help and alter and bend consciousness through the same way that you can do it yourself. You can sit in meditation, get to this state, smoke a joint, get to this state. That's when you're not addicted to it. When it's the only way to get to a certain state, you become addicted to it. When sex is your only form of pleasure for the Swadhisthana chakra, then you become addicted to it. Addiction and attachment, addiction and aversion, my bad, are still attachment. It's two forms, two sides to the same coin. It's still a coin. It's still silver. It's still attachment. One side of it is heads, the other side of it is tails. One is turning your head to it, one is turning your tail to it. No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So you got to develop the no. Not in the sense of being averse to it, because that's your only option. But you got to develop the other side of the coin for it. And when you do that, that's when you develop the most power in this life. That's through self-mastery, and that's when you can start the journey towards really bending the reality that you want. And self-mastery is not just one journey. You can go through many different times, in many different aspects of yourself, many different parts of your ego. It's not just one. It's multiple journeys, happen at the multiple same times, but all on different speed. And that's what's going on within you and outside in the material world through people, of course, like we have in the inner circle, philosopher circle community. If you want to be surrounded with people like that, going up that same mountain, this is what it's all about. Again, link in the pinned comments video. If you made it this far into the video and you haven't joined up yet, you're literally missing out. You're missing out. I don't know what more to tell you. But that was understanding the deep cycles, the deep esoteric trip, the fried version of what marijuana can be used for to alter your states of consciousness. Cannabis is a tool to alter your states of consciousness, but remember, you want to hit the prerequisite where your consciousness can get you to that consciousness, where your body and brain can get you to that consciousness. So it doesn't matter if you use it or not, you have the power to drive it or put it on autopilot. You're not just a slave to it on autopilot, not directing it where to go, but you're also able to get there by yourself. That's how you want to use any shamanic tool. Shamanic tools is not just drugs, not just plant medicines, but it's also your own brain and body, altering prana and bending it. The ancient roots of yoga, the tradition of yoga, the Aryan tradition of yoga, is based off of this. Tantra is based off of that. It's a shamanic type of practice. You're using the material world to access spiritual world. And it's not just external material things, but also internal material things. It's the art of alchemy. shamanism is alchemy, but on a mental, physical, and spiritual level. That was a fried ass podcast, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. It's been a boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping out that games. You guys can make these games, and I'm out here. Peace.